Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, shalom.
Shalom, Yoni. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to our studio. Thank you for coming. And a few words about your visit. You're here in Israel.
Well, my father's 6th yahrzeit, and I buried him on the Mount of Olives, Judaism's holiest grave site, during COVID. Now, think about how difficult that was, but I miss him tremendously. And secondly, and in some ways more importantly, my son just finished this 3-month tour in Lebanon as an elite combat soldier. Wow. He, of course, was in the war even before this 3 months for 2 years. He serves as one of the chief speechwriters for Amir Khana, the head of the Knesset. So it's not like he had an essential job. It's not like he even had to go. But we've had 4 children in this war, and I could not be more proud of them. Do I get anxiety? Definitely. Do I get scared? Definitely. Am I inspired to the hilt that they're part of the first Jewish army in 2,000 years that is lending dignity and value and worth to Jewish life? Abso-damn-lutely.
Yeah, because we're all familiar with you as a warrior for the truth, and we'll talk about your battlefields. But as you mentioned, your children, they're the true warriors.
I'm not a warrior at all. I'm a coward. You put me with bullets flying, and I'm going to just run to the other side. I'm a media warrior. My life ggets threatened almost every day. Mm-hmm. I was threatened with murder in places. Well, past year alone, Vienna, Miami Beach, Florida. That was at the Fontainebleau Hotel, which I'm not supposed to be speaking about, so I won't. But now they're trying to sue me, etc. But I was threatened with murder countless times in Times Square. And even so, to compare myself to an IDF soldier would be just a disgusting slander against the great heroes of the IDF. I could not be more proud of my children. All 4 kids in the IDF in this war, and in elite combat units. And I should just say that, my son Mendy, who serves as a chief English speechwriter with Amir Khana, Speaker of Knesset, he just published with me an amazing book called Comeback Nation, mm-hmm. How Israel annihilated its adversaries in a 7-front war for survival. And what makes the book so interesting, it's co-authored, first, what an honor, co-authored with my son,
Nachas,
is that he focuses on the ground war, right? He was in the ground war, he was in Gaza, he was in Lebanon, some of the heaviest fighting, and I focus on the air war, the media war. Now, both are essential. Now, obviously, the ground war is much more important, but we Jews have always sucked at that air war, that media war. I always say the Jews are terrible at 2 things. We suck at sports, look at this body, not exactly built for elite athletic Olympic gold medals, and then we suck at public relations. No matter what you say
do we suck at hasbara?
The worst.
Or Esav Sonel Yaakov? We've learned that there's nothing to do. They all hate us.
That's an excuse to say it's not just halacha biyadua shesonel of Yaakov, but Esav is just a dome. It's Rome. It doesn't say that all non-Jews hate us. Let's not take this Talmud and extrapolate it to every single non-Jew. You want to tell me that Mike Huckabee hates us? You want to tell me Donald Trump hates us? You want to tell me no? Of course not. You want to tell me Mike Johnson hates us? They love us. There are tons of non-Jews.
So what are we doing wrong?
What we're doing wrong is we're always on the defensive. We're in the defendant's chair.
Hasbara.
No, that's not hasbara.
No, I'm saying that's the problem with the word hasbara. Explaining what we're doing.
I hate the word hasbara. The word hasbara, built into the word, is the idea that you have to justify your existence.
I need to explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing.
So I have 3 words for anyone who wants to do, screw the word hasbara. If you want to be a media lion for your people and to actually fulfill the biblical mandate of being or goyim netaticha, to be a light unto the nations, here are the 3 words: attack, attack, always attack. Our cause is just. There's no reason to defend it. We should be attacking our enemies, like Zoran Mamdani. Where did this guy come from? How did you, the mayor of New York City, and you tweet about Nakba Day? For God's sake, you have 2.5 million Jews in New York. That's more than Yerushalayim and Tel Aviv put together.
By the way, were you surprised? Were there some felt that he may be anti-Semite, anti-Israel, but maybe when he comes into office, he'll try to pretend he's not trying at all.
That's the typical Jewish attitude. We Jews are always looking, it's really not so bad. That's why we suck. Let me just tell you something. American Jewry has to accept the painful truth that they hate hearing. We are sheep. There's a tiny, small group of warriors of Maccabees. We're not like Israel. Israel, the whole country, are warriors. You have to be a warrior. You have no choice. And you get used to living under missiles. In America, we run from the fight. We don't engage at all. We are sheep and lambs. Now, I want to be clear that has to change. I was just in Athens with my wife, and I want to tell you 2 things that I learned. The first is, forget every sign being the watermelon, Palestinian thing, and F the IDF with the whole thing spelled out. There are actual giant signs, look at my Instagram, at Rabbi Shmuley, that say, save a life, kill a Zionist. And these are enormous signs. There's incitement to murder Jews, but all over the streets, in the tourist areas. But there's 2 things you can learn from Athens. Number 1, Europe has been the Jewish cemetery, a Jewish graveyard for 2,000 years. It's only getting worse. Now it's coming over to America, which is truly tragic. But the second thing you can learn is this. Athens and Jerusalem are the two most influential cities in the world. How many people lived in Athens at its height during Pericles, first democracy, the Parthenon, the Acropolis? Not more than 20,000 people. Let's stop this lie that you need millions of people. If we had 20,000 Jewish fighters in America who fought every day, if we marched even with 20,000 people, we would be winning. We'd be killing.
People are afraid to fight?
They're afraid to march. They're afraid to say they're Jewish. They're afraid to wear a Magen David. They're afraid to wear a yarmulke. By the way, it's even affecting, I'm very close to the Haredi community. I see guys in Times Square with pants and everything wearing a New York Yankees baseball cap.
That's the worst, by the way.
And I say to them, you don't look Jewish.
Exactly.
Fool me.
How is this battlefield changing throughout, let's say, the past 2.5 years?
The battlefield is changing through us learning what Niccolo Machiavelli, who people dismiss as some sort of thug and gangster, he wasn't. Mm-hmm. Machiavelli was a realist. He was a political realist. He advised the Medici family in Florence. And what he said to them is, everyone wants to be loved and feared. Sometimes you accept that you have to be feared more than loved. That's what's changed. The Jewish community always wanted to be loved. Israel wanted to be loved. And then Netanyahu decided one day, I've known Bibi for 40 years. He used to give amazing lectures for me in Oxford, and they were mesmerizing. Now, he's given up on that. He's decided we're going to be strong and tough, and if we have one friend named Donald Trump, who, thank God, happens to be the most powerful man in the world, even if we're abandoned by Britain and Belgium and Holland, so be it. I think American Jewry needs to make the same decision. Now, I don't want to lose the Democratic Party. I don't want to bifurcate American politics into the Republicans being pro-Israel, because there are some great Democrats like Fetterman, who I opposed even against my closest friend, Dr. Mehmet Oz, who today is the head of Medicare. But he, Mehmet was my friend, but he was abandoning Israel during the campaign. So let's not lose the Democratic Party. But what's changed is stop trying to be liked. Stop trying to be liked. If they need to fear us, not that we're going to hurt them. We are not terrorists, God forbid. We are the most righteous, saintly people on earth, but our lives have value. When a Jew dies, that is a frickin' tragedy, and it needs to stop. I am sick to my stomach, nauseated by dead Jews. We are not a tragic people. We are a glorious people, and we have to have a glorious future.
You mentioned the Democrat Party. What do you do with the Republican Party? We're seeing there the areas, of course, mainly the isolationists and things like that. Where's that party going? Well,
what you do is you take down the haters who are trying to take over the MAGA movement, and we even have Trump doing it for us. I mean, you've got Qatar Katarlson, try saying that 10 times, to Qatar Katarlson. He's not even ideologically motivated. Then you have Candace Owens, where it's money and ideological. Then you have Nick Fuentes, who, I don't know, but these are true haters. But you see, instead of my getting into the mind of Katarlson or Candace Owens or into the mind of little Nicky Fuentes, I don't care what their motivation is. I care why someone wants to kill me. If the SS guy liked me as he put the Zyklon B into Crematoria 5 at Birkenau, I don't care if he felt bad and wrote to his wife about his qualms about gassing children. He had to be bombed to smithereens. Now, on social media, we would never hurt anyone, God forbid. We would never incite. They incite murder against us. But we must absolutely destroy their credibility. I'm the one who got Candace Owens fired from the Daily Wire. What was my friend Ben Shapiro doing? Employing her while she was praising Hitler, for God's sake. And look it turned on him. And I said, Ben, any penny you earn from Candace Owens, you should donate to IDF Widows, because I promise you, it's just going to be a curse to you. And now we're seeing all these stories that he's going bankrupt. And I'm not saying it, I hope it turns around. But Hashem is never going to bless money that you got from an anti-Semite like Candace Owens, who was his biggest star. So not only were we not fighting these people, but we were actually excusing their actions. We have to fight.
Are we fighting now?
Oh, not enough. There are a few phenomenal fighters. I give immense credit to Laura Loomer, even though I disagree with her, and we're very close. I disagree with what she says about. I have no issue with Islam at all. In fact, let me say clearly, I love my Muslim brothers and sisters, truly love them. I walk over to Muslim women in New York all the time, and I say, thank you for covering your hair. It makes it easy for me to wear a yarmulke. I show them love. There's Muslims and there's Islamists. So if there's 1.3 billion Muslims in the world, I believe that 90% are God-fearing people who want to support their families. The problem is that 10% have been radicalized. That's 130 million people. But the bigger problem is that the 90% who are decent, who would live with us in peace, they never condemn the 130 million. They never condemn the 10%. So what you have is the Islamists are running roughshod over the entire religion. And I appeal to my Muslim brothers and sisters, for God's sake, you see this yarmulke? If I am late for a flight and they won't let me put my luggage on, and if I lose my temper with the person and say, I'm only 1 minute late, I have to think that I am making a chilul Hashem. I am desecrating God's name, because people don't just see a Shmuley, they see a rabbi. Every Muslim watching this, do you want your religion becoming synonymous with suicide bombings and murder and terror? Take your religion back. Take it back.
Let's relate to one very, very important and significant incident you mentioned in Florida. How did it happen that you were attacked brutally, verbally, but really someone was attacking you, swearing at you, filming you?
Threatening me with murder.
Threatening you with murder
and violence.
You find yourself being sued?
I'm
How did
being
that happen?
sued, yes. Okay, so there's all kinds of restrictions. Listen, I'm up against one of the richest men in the world, and he, of course, can just... It's called lawfare. They try to bankrupt you. So there's all these restrictions, what I'm allowed to say. So I'll try to do it, navigate in the way where I respect judges' rulings, of course, in the American judicial process. But yes, on the night of December 1st, 2024, I was sitting and writing a speech for my very dear friend, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Today he controls a third of the American budget, $7 trillion odd dollars. He's a tzaddik. I love Bobby, by the way. And we're very close. And I was writing a draft of his acceptance speech. He had just been nominated to be Secretary of Health and Human Services by President Trump. I was sitting there, and this guy comes over, recognizes me from a debate I had done on Piers Morgan against an Islamist named Mohammed Hijab. He saw me, comes over to me, waits for me to finish writing, and says, F you, you baby killer, your children are big, IDF, you're so lucky I don't F up your SHIT. Come outside. He's threatening to murder me. And then tens of millions of people have watched the video. So there's all this stuff.
We're showing the footage now, of course.
And the hotel security came over and actually fist bumped him and hugged him. I know that none of you believe this because it's not to be believed. You're incredulous. Look at the video. Later, the establishment, who shall go unmentioned, actually claimed that I was loitering around the hotel. You know the way Jews were homeless, that I was a shakedown artist, that I had gone to the hotel in order to get a payout. I mean, the same way with Israel. There was no Holocaust. The Jews invented this genocide in Europe in order to justify the stealing of Palestinian land. It's the same kind of ideology, that we are never victims.
So
we're always
sue you?
They've been suing me for 2 years. They've thrown the kitchen sink at me and they thought they would break me. I will never be broken over anti-Semitism. I will model to my children. Look, I just lost my father 6 years ago. It was his yard site 2 days ago. My most important mission in life, fight for the Jewish people, fight for Israel. My most important mission in life is to model courage to my children. My children are IDF warriors. I have to model courage. If I would let this break me, so I have fought back. And they're probably shocked that I have fought back. And the trial is coming up June 29th. And really everyone should be aware, because if Jews can be sued for simply filming an anti-Semitic incident, which is the only defense we have sometimes, because remember, I had no gun on me. The only thing I could do is record the incident to give it to law enforcement, who also did nothing. So Jews, over the past 3 years in America, or a few years, 11 Jews shot and killed at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. Get used to that. A Jewish woman, octogenarian, burnt alive in Boulder, Colorado, in the United States of America, right near the Rocky Mountain National Park. Then we have 2 Jews who were shot in the head 5 minutes from the most secure place on earth, the White House. That young couple engaged, shot in the head, assassination style. Then Jews in Manchester, knifed and killed on Yom Kippur. And then, luckily, I was a rabbi at Oxford for 11 years, Rabbi Shliach. The nice thing about the United Kingdom, they're very good to the Jews. If you're a Jew in the United Kingdom, you get a free knife. They give you a free knife. Unfortunately, it's lodged in your neck, but they let you keep it. And we can kind of laugh at this stuff because it's almost comical and farcical how bad the anti-Semitism has become.
So this brings me to my final question. Is it time to come home to Israel?
Let me be clear about this. That's the critical question. It is time to come home to Israel for love of Israel, for love of Zion, for love of Jerusalem, for love of the land, the beautiful earth, glorious, majestic, electrifying Israel, magical Israel. That's what it's time to go. But not out of fear. Anyone who's watching who thinks, I'm terrified of living in Amsterdam and I'm going to abandon the community and went to Israel, I don't agree with that. I don't believe in one another. And we're also a global religion. And by the way, me and Prime Minister Netanyahu, Ron Dermer was my student president, we've discussed this many times. Think for a second. I said to the Prime Minister, because after the Charlie Hebdo massacre, he and my other good friend, Natan Sharansky, did a press conference and said everyone should come home. And I said, Prime Minister, you were educated at MIT. Look what you've been able to do with that as Prime Minister. Prime Minister, do you want Chabad to leave Nepal in Kathmandu, and where are the 3,000 IDF guys who are going to go traveling for a year after 3 grueling years? Do you want them to have a Seder? Do you want no Jew? We're a global religion.
That's about the Chabad.
No, it's not just Chabad. You cannot close down global Judaism because of anti-Semitism. We cannot create Fortress Masada out of Israel where we all just allow the whole damn world to gang up on us. If you're living in Amsterdam or New York or Los Angeles or Chicago or St. Louis, fight for the Jewish people. Fight for Israel. You don't have to live in Israel to be engaged in the war for Israel. That's what the message should be. As far as Aliyah, absolutely out of love, but not out of fear. I will not be pushed out of Europe or anywhere else to fulfill Hitler Yamach Shemo's dream of making these places Judenrein. That will never happen. Israel is our heart and our soul. Israel is the epicenter of our existence. It always will be. Yerushalayim is the beating heart of the Jewish people. But we are also a global religion that is the most influential nation of all time, and we can't stop that part of it. Comeback Nation, the book. Comeback Nation.
Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, thank you so much for coming to our studio, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.